As a company that currently only produces 2 models, a brand new Lamborghini really doesn't come around that often, but this, the Huracan Lp 610-4, I hope I said that right, is exactly that, a brand new Lamborghini. Very, very exciting indeed, and it's got some big shoes to fill. Its predecessor, the Gallardo, well, that was the most successful Lamborghini ever built. They sold over 14,000 of them. So let's start with what matters with a Lamborghini, the styling. It's the work of Filippo Perini, the head of styling at Lamborghini, and you have to say it's an absolutely a thing of beauty, this car. It's got those classic mid-engine proportions. You've got the scoop shovel nose at the front, slim little LED lights, these huge scoops that run down the side, but my absolute favourite angle though has to be around here at the back. You've got these slatted covers running down either side of the engine and the 4 quad exhausts down there. Now, speaking of the engine, it's a development of the old unit, so it's a 5.2 litre V10, 602 horsepower, no downsizing, no turbocharging here, just brute force. It will do 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and go on to way over 200 miles an hour. There's other big technical stories going on here though. The chassis, well, it's very clever indeed. It's a hybrid between carbon fibre and aluminium, so it's stiffer and lighter than the Gallardo. And the big news, well, it's the gearbox. Gone is the jerky old E-gear automated manual, and in its place a 7-speed dual clutch automatic that should be smoother in auto mode and much quicker in manual. Will there be a manual version? Well, we're told sadly not, and that's because only 1% of customers actually request one nowadays, so why bother? So I've been told that I'm not allowed to get in the car. It's because it's the day before the actual show and they don't want me scratching or ruining this perfect show car. But anyway, I'm going to show you around the interior, and the focus here is firmly on the steering wheel. So they've moved a lot of the main controls on here. You've got your indicators, you've got your wipers, you've got your lights, you've got your trip computer scrolling through, you've got much larger paddles behind the wheel, but more importantly, you've got a switch here called the Anima switch. Now that flips between the 3 driving modes, Strada, Sport and Corsa, and that changes things like the exhaust, the engine, the gearbox, the throttle response, the 4-wheel drive system, the ESP, and creates whether you want a more relaxed driving experience or a much more aggressive one. And you'll notice as well that there's no central screen in the middle of the dashboard. That's because all the controls have been moved to this big digital dial behind the wheel. It's a similar concept to one you'll find in the Audi TT, something they call a virtual cockpit, but it just means you've got your maps, you've got your infotainment, you've got your revometer, you've got your speedometer, you've got everything you need right in front of your eye line, right behind the wheel. So what are Lamborghini's expectations for this car? Well, in its best year ever, the Gallardo sold 1,800 units. Now they can make over 3,000 of these a year, so clearly it's made room, it's made capacity for this to be an even bigger success. In terms of price, well, we don't know an exact figure yet, but it is going to cost around £188,000. So that's a little bit more than a Ferrari 458 and a little bit less than a McLaren 650S. If I've got one fear, then it's that the design might just be a little bit conservative. But then again, if that's your thing, there's always the Aventador.